Hi there, welcome to my presentation on my major project, Breadbin Productions. My name is Olivia Hudson Hadaway, and I would like to talk you through our company, the progress it's made, the progress we hope it to make, and the goals we have achieved in the past year. Founded by myself, Jamie Fox, and Tommy Lee, Breadbin Productions became the leading student-run program focusing on event production and preservation of the local music scene. Our structure has changed the way that student events are ran and perceived by our community, encouraging musicians to form professional connections in friendly spaces and to support and uplift one another by making events more accessible. I'd come to learn very quickly that my role would vary as we progressed as a company, typically maintaining a social media influence and circulating local shows, whether we ran them or not, and using dialect that connected with our target audiences to make us stand out from other promoters. When we offered more opportunities, I'd assist with rehearsal notes and performance practice, songwriting, and connecting artists to outside assistants and regarding studio engineering. This, however, was a lot to keep up with, and I sometimes felt unqualified to give assistance in genres that I wasn't very well versed in. When we became strictly gig promoters, everything kind of fell into place far easier. I'd actively work as a communications manager, circling our advertisement, uplifting local bands' releases, and making sure our name still remained relevant enough to entice prospective staff and volunteers. When setting about starting Breadbin, we always wanted it to be with students in mind. Coming to Cheltenham as COVID had recently decimated the local scene, everything felt slow and lackluster, and venues seemed conflicted about reopening doors to gigs. We now know that due to COVID, that lots of grassroots venues around the UK closed due to the amount of money lost during this time. And because of Cheltenham's limited venue spaces but incredible potential, we felt a duty to reconnect students with their town as well as its music. Breadbin has always had the slogan, by students, for students. We wanted to come across as undaunting as possible to assist and nurture talents and voices that wanted to emerge into the creative industries, going from student spaces to larger hires such as the Frog and Fiddle and Cheltenham Playhouse, to making industry connections which strengthened our lineups as well as our volunteers. Because of a lack of a student presence at places such as Cheltenham Playhouse, it felt important for us to go in and show that people still do want to go to that venue space, they just don't see the need to until there is an event that slightly appeals to them. Currently, in 2024, we are struggling with a cost of living crisis in the UK. Students especially feel the crush of this. So, as organisers, how can we include everyone while continually taking part in the practice of correctly and fairly paying freelance technicians, musicians, and grassroots venues that are fighting to stay open? Our target audience, students and young musicians, were the ones to communicate with this survey the most. These results show that the main barriers were always money. To combat this, in our first shows, we have always had reduced ticket prices for students, and we actively promote this service to make it as accessible as possible to make sure that no one has to miss out. Audio Junk Food, who I come to later, actually has funding in order to give out free tickets to those in need who feel that they're not able to attain tickets given their income. Our band toast was the catalyst of us engaging heavily in the live music scene in Cheltenham. This is how we met our first professional contact, Audio Junk Food, also known as Andy Foster. Audio Junk Food has had a presence in Bristol, Gloucester, and Cheltenham for upwards of 10 years. Andy's love for live music pushed bands into the spotlight, and this year running his own stage for Audio Junk Food at Cafe Rene for Gloucester's Sellout Underground Festival of 2024. Us and Audio Junk Food have now run a range of shows together throughout the past year, predominantly at the Frog and Fiddle, capitalising on each of our target audiences, us reaching mainly students and Andy capitalising on the 25 to 45 demographic. We've also been offered our very own Breadbin Productions Rand stage at Underground Festival Gloucester from when we are graduates, starting next year. Running a set of shows throughout the summer together with Andy as our handler and guarantor with Two Pigs Nightclub, and we're also introducing our staff and volunteers to one another, bridging the gap and giving students valuable contacts and work at events such as Underground, Sunday Fun Day, and Frogfest. Going back to my role and typically what I do with Breadbin, these are our promotional assets for events such as the Frog and Fiddles Band Fight Night events, as well as our advertisements for the Cheltenham Playhouse event, which was created by ex-student at UOG Callum Kent, who now runs his own company, Iceland Productions. We consistently use his services to give a cohesive image, while the genres may sometimes differ, so it is clear that the show is run by us. Callum always understood our briefs perfectly, so given loads of different drafts image per band, so we have enough content to distribute and maintain hype amongst prospective audiences. Breadbin uses Instagram the most, so it targets our main demographic, as well as it being mostly used by bands when rehearsing events to fans. We found a way to solidify our cause in the minds of consumers without being pushy or boring with how we went about circulating events. Showcasing our volunteer staff, bands during load-in, and us during meetings and promotion production, This meant we can create a close relationship with viewers and prospective gig goers without making them feel as if they're being peddled to, and we're creating a friendly connection with students who would consider working with us. These were honestly why I shouldn't be a social media manager, because using memes seems to be the best way to engage with people nowadays on Instagram. I also like keeping things somewhat relevant, and when we were having our heavier band fight nights, I made the pit rules presentation, basically so we wouldn't struggle with keeping people calm while actually at the event, because we were also playing on stage at the same time. So, what's next? We hear you cries, you're typically grabbing your seat. Well, we've got a really exciting summer coming up. We are actually being offered a residency with Two Pigs nightclub in Cheltenham, which is the premier alternative nightclub. This infamous venue has been open for about 25 years, and up until 2021 also had an incredibly successful live event space on its second floor. Since COVID, however, the money as well as the time has not been available to restore this venue to what it once was. However, thanks to teaming up with Audio Junk Food, we have been offered a 3-show residency there this summer. Due to our target audience changing or just simply not being here, we have to change about how we're going to sell our tickets. With running 3 nights, it means we could potentially make adjustments depending on how the first event runs. These events taking place outdoors poses a number of issues to think about, such as lighting and weather conditions. The bands playing are already well known within the Cheltenham due to their Audio Junk Food shows, so rest assured the event won't be entirely empty. Here is my very basic first draft of marketing strategy for our Two Pigs summer residency. Working on smaller ideas such as playlisting, guerrilla campaigning, podcasts with Audio Junk Food talking about the booking process, and frequenting Two Pigs, Frog and Fiddle, and other close venues to spread the word of the event. Breadbin's getting on a bit now, as it has been in the process since we were halfway through our first year of university. Obviously now we're graduating, we're going to talk about how that's changed. So Breadbin has increased the amount of student production companies in circulation. Student shows have become way more common, and we've proved to venues such as Cheltenham Playhouse that the future lies on the younger generation. The student population does not need to be alienated from their events. We've established connections through the Breadbin name and industry professionals, honing our independent skills, as well as working as a team and giving our student volunteers paths for progression with Audio Junk Food. Even though the management and rehearsal note services stopped, they taught me how to take a nurturing and mentor-like approach to Breadbin Productions work. These connections then help when booking shows in the future, as I already have that professional insight to work ethic and original material. Throughout the past 2.5 years, I've put on 2 Breadbin shows all by myself. One was at Smoky Joe's at the start of 3rd year, which sold out on the doors. It threw me as a promoter, knowing it's really troublesome to sell out sometimes, and considering two of the bands were absolutely new to the Cheltenham scene, it was really fun, and it was also a really great experience for the volunteers to be sold out at such a small capacity event. Speaking of volunteers, Biz also ran her first event for Audio Junk Food at the Bristol Exchange last month, working and gaining experience under a larger company at a bigger venue. And finally, the reinvigoration of student production environments. We're currently the most active the Cheltenham music scene has ever been, with our local event spaces booked out to the end of the year. The OG Music Society is rampant, with events showcasing students, and they have also reintegrated the lifeblood into Cheltenham once again. Thank you very much for listening to the history and outcomes of Breadbin Productions. Cheers!